We always think we know who our friends are. I mean, hell, I've known my best friend Martin for the better part of 2 decades. After what I saw today, though, I know that I had no clue who he really was, what he was capable of. I started working at his company about a year ago. Before that, I'd been working here and there as a freelancer, barely scraping by. As a university dropout, I didn't have much of a choice. See, I'd try anything in the hopes of making it big, but whatever I did, things never took off. The day I turned 30, I was still living in the same crappy one-room apartment, still eating ramen noodles for dinner 5 times a week. I knew I needed to reevaluate my life. It was on a night out with Martin after a half-dozen beers that I started to lament about my situation. See, he listened, and once I was done, he offered me a job at his trading company. After his dad had retired, he'd taken over the family business and reconstructed it from scratch. He was starting to earn some real money, and he said that he could use a few helping hands. I agreed pretty much instantly. To be honest, I never thought that I ended up selling cans of soup at a farmer's market, even if it's the fancy kind. After I'd proved that I was handling the job well enough, Martin put me in charge of our logistics. It's not as fancy as it sounds. I pretty much just take care of our small warehouse, the monthly trips out to our suppliers, and handle the occasional delivery. We had a few customers, Martin explained, who ordered our product in bulk. As a sign of our gratitude, we offered to deliver the product in person. Sometimes it meant a small detour after the market for the day had ended. At other times, the customer would pick up his order at the market. It was all pretty standard stuff, business as usual, you could say. I never thought anything about it. And that is until today. See, Martin had sent me a message instructing me to take care of another delivery. The customer would pick it up in the late afternoon around the time the market ended. Attached to the message was an image of one of our cardboard boxes standing in the middle of the warehouse. In the morning, I put the cardboard box into the van and secured it between the parts of our market stand. Today was a slow day. After an almost 2-hour drive to a small town in the middle of nowhere, I set up my market stand as usual. Apart from me and a handful of other traders, the market was completely deserted. Now I wondered why Martin even sent me out here. There was no way that we could turn a profit. And hell, we already spent a small fortune on the gas driving here alone. The hours passed painfully slow, but eventually, dusk arrived, and the market came to an end. I was about to pack up when an expensive station wagon came to a stop right behind the market stand. A well-kept older man stepped outside. He had an aura of self-importance about himself, and his outfit probably cost way more than I earned in a month. He scanned the area for a moment before he hurried over. As I watched him get closer, I could tell that there was something off about him. His eyes were darting left and right. With every step, he seemed to get more and more uneasy. It was a cold day, yet I saw beads of sweat glistening on his forehead. Hey there, can I help you? I asked in the friendliest voice I could muster. The man's expression was one of disdain, and I knew he looked down on me. Here for the delivery, he said, condescendingly. Oh, the box. Yeah, it's in the back of the van. Quite the order you got there. Stock it up for the holidays? I asked in a jolly manner. He said nothing. Instead, his eyes continued to stare me down. Well, the box, I continued in an awkward voice, and led the man to the market van. The moment I opened it up and he saw the cardboard box, his expression changed. His eyes grew wide and a hungry grin appeared on his face. I'd never seen anyone react like that to a couple dozen cans of soup. All right, let me just get this for you, and I broke up. One of the corners of the box had been damaged and torn open during transportation. I already saw that some of the packaging peanuts had spilled out from the hole. Ah, crap. I think the box was damaged during the trip here. Let me check real quick if everything's... That's not a problem, the man said, putting his hand on my shoulder. Sure, everything's all right. I felt awkward, squirming under the grip of his hand. Are you sure? Just carry it over to my car. He smiled at me, but there wasn't the smallest hint of emotion in it. I nodded. I freed myself from his hand, and I dragged the box in the van. The man went back to his car, opened the trunk, and waited for me to bring the box over. His face was angry, his expression urging me to get a move on. And that's precisely what I did. I wanted nothing more than to get this weird encounter over with. And then the box started to slip from my hands. I barely made it to his car before I lost my grip, and it toppled into the trunk. The already damaged side of the box tore open. An audible gasp escaped from the man next to me. Oh, God. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I started. But I broke up. Instead of cans of soup, something else spilled out from the box. At first, I didn't understand what I was staring at. Between a mass of packing peanuts, I saw something white. It was a small hand that dangled from the box. The hell? Before I could even say a word or ask what was going on, the guy quickly closed the trunk. I jerked at the sudden loud noise. For a moment, we both stared at each other in silence. Me completely bewildered by what I had just seen, him angry beyond anything. For a moment, I was afraid the guy would jump me, but instead he pushed me aside. In one fluid motion, he was back in the driver's seat of the car, and a moment later he drove off. I was left there staring after his car. During the long trip back to our warehouse, I tried to convince myself that my eyes were playing tricks on me. There was no way there'd been a human being in that box. It had been getting dark. The guy had been creepy as hell, so my mind must have conjured up the image. I even laughed out loud to convince myself how ridiculous the idea was. But the laugh was hollow and fake. The heater in the car was turned to the max, yet I felt cold shivering in my seat. The moment I reached the warehouse, Martin was already waiting for me. I almost drove right past it, but his face was as jovial as usual. "Hey man," he greeted me. "I was just checking up on a few things, so I thought I'd help you unload everything. How's the market? Any good?" Man, it was pretty shitty, to be honest. No customers at all." "Yeah, well, can't be helped. Did the guy pick up his delivery?" "Yeah, everything went well," I blurted out almost a little too fast. A hint of suspicion showed on his face. It was gone in an instant. We unloaded the van, we talked and joked as usual, but the atmosphere was different. Something unspoken hung heavy in the air. Every once in a while, Martin's eyes lingered on me a bit too long. Neither of us said a word about the packing peanuts scattered in the back of the van. Instead, we simply unloaded the parts of the market stand and put the unsold cans of soup back into the warehouse. Once we were done, I gathered my things to get on my way to the nearby bus station. "Hey man, why the rush? Let's go for a drink," Martin offered. I was about to decline and get the hell out of there, but a small voice in the back of my head told me that wouldn't fly tonight. "Sure, why not?" I answered, in as calm a voice I could muster. We drove to a nearby grocery store, got ourselves a beer each, and settled back in his car. While I stared at the bottle in my hand, Martin took a long sip of his beer. "Yeah, sorry, man," he finally said. "What do you..." I started. But when he looked at me, I knew instantly this was about the box. A deep sigh followed. "You know, I haven't been quite honest with you. Things haven't been going that well at all. It's all about online stores nowadays. No one goes to the weekly markets anymore." I nodded. "After taking over the company, I barely scraped by. With Maria and the kids at home, it wasn't enough." Once more I nodded, trying my hardest to keep my anxiety at bay. I couldn't tell Maria how bad things were. Just bought the new house. Couldn't even pay off the frickin' mortgage. I was looking for some serious trouble. So I started to do some research. I went to a few trade shows, talked to some of my dad's old contacts. Eventually I stumbled upon a few, alternate products. "And you started selling those on the side, right?" "Yeah." We both were quiet for a while, drinking our beer in silence. "Never imagined I'd be selling something like that. Friggin' sex dolls." "Sex dolls?" I blurted out. He stared at me for a moment before he started to explain. He'd gotten in contact with someone from Eastern Europe, Slovakia, to be precise. It was a company that specialized in anatomically correct sex dolls. They were perfect to the last detail. Smooth, soft skin, real hair, the whole deal. It's disgusting how close they are to the real deal. But there are people out there looking for just that. I took another sip of my beer. "So you're telling me that there was a sex doll inside that box? Isn't it a bit too small for that?" Martin's face turned dark. "Well, they make them in all sizes. There's some people out there who are willing to pay a bit extra for that." I knew what he was implying. Once more, I looked over at Martin. For so many years, I thought I knew him. I imagined him going home to his wife, tucking his 3 kids into bed, and in that moment, I felt sick to my stomach. Yeah, okay, well, I think it's time for me to... Hey, sorry again. God, I should have told you about this the whole damn time. The thing right from the start, right? And it's sick. God, it's disgusting. We got bills to pay, you know? His eyes rested on mine. He was looking at me pleadingly. Yet, there was something darker, more twisted in his eye. Yeah, I guess you're right. Good night. Really gotta make it to the bus. Got another half hour ahead of me before I'm home. Yeah. Night. As I exited the car and I went on my way to the bus station, I could feel his eyes digging into the back of my head. I forced myself to walk away as normally and calmly as I could. Once I was on the bus, I lost it. I mean, the anxiety came back in full force. I had to clutch onto the seat in front of me to keep it at bay. I should have been calmed. I mean, Martin had explained the whole thing to me. Sure, it was messed up. Hell, it was probably illegal. But still, he was my best friend. But there was one more thing, though. An image that came back to my mind again and again. It's what I saw. Just moments before the man had closed the back of the trunk. I wanted to ask Martin about it. I wanted to confront him. But I'd been too afraid to do it. Why the hell had the hand of that sex doll moved? Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and we are back after Halloween. So, I want to give a big thank you to my Patreons. Those specifically are the ones that are in the description, and Joey Gilbert, Daniel Poulsen, Trace Miles, Jordan Alexander Sanchez, Wayne Milstead, Chumpinski, Ken Lando Higuchi, Brianna Tine-Janzen, Buddy Burroughs, Stephen VanHuss, Tristain Pelton, G Weevil 3, Asia, the Red Oak Shield Virus, Sandy Barney, Nico Kaeo, Caleb Dougal, Dante Rowe, Last Blade Song, The Ginger Bros, Don Mewmeister, Eliminator 86, Nebsky, Alex, Steampunk Sinner, The Rafael Rodriguez, Optimistic Avocado, and Dr. Strawberry. If you guys would like to join them, you can always head over to patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta. Even helping with $1 actually helps keep me alive. So, a big thank you to all of you who are there from $1 all the way up to however much that you guys give. Thank you. I appreciate you guys subscribing and checking back with the channel every single day because, dear Lord help me, we are on daily uploads, meaning new horror stories from me here at MrCreepyPasta on YouTube or MrCreepyPasta on Spotify. Sweet dreams, kids.